Jabba was one of us, was a soldier. Yeah, and we recognized each other as equals among men.
And you guys were nominated on the same category.
Did you see what I'm saying? On the same category for the same award.
That's crazy.
You see what I'm saying? So it was very difficult because we didn't take instructions from Jabba. He was never our boss. He was our leader. That's it. So first of all, nobody can ever be Jabba again. Forget it. Okay? That we must accept. That not even Casper with all his money that he talks about can be Jabba. This money can never make him that. You know, it doesn't have that touch. But he Jabba and he blew up. Well, it doesn't matter how he puts it. He's a beneficiary. So, as beneficiary, we were saying, whose responsibility is it to take this thing to the future? My environment fine, homelapo elelang, lemelatswana, no sambaba lemang, lemo engele o a, gala lelang, lebanyana, baba, a tlarelang, ga ke tlhoke go fetola sepe, ga ke tlhoke sepe, Ramasedi kopa pula ene, Palestina elwe, Israel ewe, go nyewe. Yeah, do you know I predicted how Israel will fall 2 months ago?
Bonjour.
I did.
Usimula ya no yo. Usigarata na mutabi. You know, I come orala agizili. Yeah. I'm like, okay, di mana hana boli luwe na gizu khiragala. And it's a political statement.
No, I mean there's very little we can do for the people of Palestine, but we have to stand in solidarity because Mandela Orile, if the Palestine is not free, we are still not free. And we have to say at some point it's enough, because if it can happen to them, it can happen to us. So there's nothing we can do, but we must put our voices out there and say we see what's happening and we don't like it. We don't like it. Freedom to the people of Palestine. No, I mean, we don't know anything that's happening there. We are millions of miles away, but the way they are shooting each other with bombs, you can see any of their bombs can come this direction any day.
100%.
Yeah, Rawi Pitlagai.
Mojo, me and you are very blend.
Yes, sir.
And there's certain things that based on speaking your mind. What do you think about that artist Babonadi Lomar Barsa Buisep? Or you speaking
by God's blessing, I'm 44 years old today. I've survived all of that, Lemonka. Yeah, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If I don't stand for anything, I must fall. So you can survive by being between lines, and yeah, you'll survive. But what did you stand for?
Yeah. Let's take it from Komafiki.
Yes, sir.
Born and raised where? And
I'm the last born. Jimena Lidino Murule. Kitaletu Kumunsiwa, 1386 Ramani Street. Kiholeti Tenko. Fortunately for me, Stratasaka Morafe, which was Kemenosi Road. That's where my aunt lived, Mamani, Manituli, which is Towdee's mother. And then Gautangking, that's where my grandparents lived. Neo Lisibueng Mwahi. So, and then Kodibate, he Rakhadi Nadula things, Madipata. So I grew up in that very family orientated setting, you know. So either was this side, that side, or that side, you know. I don't remember ever playing on the streets, but at the very early age of maybe about 4 or 5, the family relocated to the farm. So I think that is what crafted myself and my personality. When I think of my childhood, I got some strating, body teeny, body man. I think for the longest time it made me very socially awkward because ne ke sa tloela botshelo ba location
o no tshameka go polaseng
go plaza go nna kwa go tshameka ra bereka ra disa ra fura ra sila go it's part and parcel of what we do it but then go chaseiwa and then go starting then ke dula go starting re tshameka ditaisi ra tshameka dikarata go nwa mbamba go alwiwa that's the life go starting so nna ke godile le ma blue collar but ke godile le and I really realized when I was older gore ke na le personality ya ma blue collar ya go nyewa now ya bona ka usana
sure
so those were the people that really influenced my early life. I took a lot of positives from them. I learned I remember Botlasi and many others of those old people who were there who taught me what farm life is about, because I always say, no, my father taught me, no, it's those farm workers, Bo Upanoxi, Bo Urasi, and even the younger guys who were there, Boran Tikani, Boran Tuturupu, the guys who were growing up on the farm, who taught me farm work and farm life. I really realized how they really shaped my life because I know every time people used to look down on us. He's been looked down upon. That social structure. So we come from the lowest of the low. Even so every day I had to come unit 2 in that context. So I'm leaving unit 2, the farm, and then I'm going back to the farm. So I have those two real lives. But because of that transition, I spend a lot of time with Towdee because after school I'd go there. And that's where a lot of the musical influence came from because Towdee has always been music since we were born. He has never tried to be anything else than being in music. So I think he had a lot of influence on me in choosing that because I think growing up I had a lot of options. But he sold me his dream because Towdee's always been a team person. He's never wanted to do this thing by himself. Never. If kids are me like school and get class till crew and he continued to do that till today. We busy Republic, since I so big up to him and that spirit.
Yo. So blue collar, I realized it's such a personal thing to you. Your first album was actually supposed to be blue collar.
Blue collar, yeah.
And Rhymefest,
yeah.
A bizarre blue collar, why change? Clearly, it shows.
No, it was Jabba's insistence. I didn't want to change my album from blue collar. It was still blue collar because I give you Rhymefest. He didn't talk about the struggles of Boran Tuturop. No, where it's Zago States. But because I was signed to a record label, they insisted and I had to change.
Sure.
But so, it was not a crisis. Amanzi is still a very meaningful subject in terms of why I was going because the concept of blue collar was very militant, and that's where the album was going. And once it changed to Amanzi, it became very personal and became something else. And I don't think I would change that for the world. And I was nobody reads, but we will tell these stories, one day as we grow, so that it's recorded in history, or all the sacrifices were made before the internet age, before people had backroom studios. It was a real uphill. You had to wake up every morning thinking, I'm looking for 1 in a million opportunity to get a record deal in this country. So many people are looking for a record deal. If you don't get a record deal, you're going nowhere. There's no Facebook, there's no YouTube, there's nothing. You need a record deal or nothing. And how's it go? Yeah, my box bra. Hey, bra. You have to realize, I'm actually one of these people in this box. It's very by God's luck that actually I made it. So yeah, it's a lot of sacrifices from a lot of people.
So how did you craft your skill sa rap up Komafu? Because obviously when the album came out, Jimmy.
Yeah, I mean like a good work tota. I started with Towdee.
To record?
Recording. Also with recording we started with Towdee. But I think my personally official studio session was with Jabba when we were recording Ayoba. Yeah, I think that was my first real studio experience recording. And what an experience. I mean, we woke up one morning, we woke up at 6, are you choosing us and record? Eh? Yeah, David Chile, no, no, Rafa, go sign, but fetwa. Kasani ka nnete we were there patetse base re ya juice ra go recorda se re ya go
how insane is this gore go recorda you had to go to Josie?
Yeah, it's leto bra leto. Yeah, it was a whole excursion to do that, you know. The whole time re dira di demo nyana tsa rona ka di tape romela go Kalawa romela go Stone romela go 999 romela go Mdu radio silence, you know. So Jabba came through for us.
So joined Morafe sharp.
Morafe, because when we started off in the late 90s, early 90s, late 80s, late 90s, Towdee, we just Towdee and Mo. Then cool, funky, fresh. And then at some point, I think about 94, then we started a group, what was it called? Novesiders, yeah, 94, 95, Novesiders. And that's when we discovered the genius of Khuli. You know, he was still a little younger, just, you know, the buzz around, there's this kid. No, but we know Khuli's family. Oh, no, okay. So we made a conscious decision to pursue him, to join a group, because then it was group you know, so we were trying to build our own crew in a sense. So we decided to go on a recruit to the drive money, and then Ramabata until we took him out for a lunch, I think. Go Decadent Donuts, Omega City. We were balling back then, bro. We did shots. And then ran off, you see proper stuff. We had a proper meeting, gave him our game plan, what we wanted to do, and why we wanted to involve him. It's like, okay, now I'm Bafito, I don't have a problem, I like it. But now I move with KG. Everything I do with KG, you know. Only to realize later on, actually in the very beginning, KG was the one writing for him, you know, because lately was a big influence, you know, because lately, Aldrin, they living stayed the house behind Khuli. So it was a close-knit family from Unit 2, you know, but when they started writing, KG was the one doing all the writing and putting everything together. It just so happens for KG and Towdee started grade 1, I think, good Budiri. So I knew KG because after school, Towdee before he goes home. They were like, no, man, this is it's a no-brainer. Let's go. So that's how. So I think they were going by the name Jezedas by then. So Jezedas and Novesiders fused to form Ill Tribe, Intimate Lyrical Tribe. Then we went Intimate Lyrical Tribe, and then some year, I think it was 98, 99, then these guys by Tribe came, Kateba. They just messed our flow. Hey, she was just back
to the drawing board.
Bro. God damn it. So until Jabba came along, and he was like, guys, you know what, I want to create this crew, everybody come together, make this big crew, little Stone, little Profo, and we're going to call this whole thing Morafe. That's a good idea.
We'll take it.
So that's how it happened. Yeah, that's how Morafe ended up being Morafe.
Flip. So Morafe stimula go spana no uvaileleng and why?
That happened go pile.
Okay.
I don't think I want to, or I'll ever have to come to the real reasons why I left. I think those are family related.
Okay.
You know? Yeah, keep it in the family, like Kaiser.
Okay. No. Let's cut it here, because in my mind I thought you left because Hospana go place.
No. It was just power dynamics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we leave this one.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. So now go placing. Tswile mo musicing, o focus mo placing. Jabba comes over.
tell you what, every time we try to Lemonka, it's not only major of how much you want to talk because the podcast did release about but the year before I left, you must know that we had an incident with Jabba where he went very sick for like half of the year, like extremely, you know, and I was with him kumaf. And it was a very touch and go time because I didn't even know that he'll ever be okay, you know. But inshallah, abashab, yeah, and that's what led into our Omang. But that time, that year we spent together in 2002 was life changing for all of us. Such a life changing year, you know. When we talk about things like Boleano, Boeing, the people think we were with there was a like let me tell you this. Okay. Jablani was not a Christian. He was Christ-like. You know, he come and set me down, and a lot of people did not have time for this madness. But because and he would say to me, Mojo, we don't understand what this whole purpose is about. Because when we read and understand Jesus ourselves, reading the Bible from beginning to end, not taking it like let's think of it as a series. Uboni chapter, Uboni episode 9, and then you have made up, you know, because this is how Christianity is normally misconstrued. Because people will say, no, but forget the Old Testament, it's the New Testament. No, the book of Timothy, no, the book of Acts, no, but it's like you just watch one episode of a whole series. You don't really understand. If you were to take it from Genesis to Revelation, then you have seen the whole picture. Oh, this thing's not contradiction. It's a full circle of a narrative. Of course, we are not saying it's perfect. Over time, some things have been put in, but the way he was understanding it, because he was so intrigued by it, you know. And years later, I heard Thabo Mbeki say something like that. What do you read? What's your favorite? I was like, the Bible. It's like, no, are you Christian religious? No, the text is so beautiful. If you can really follow it for the text as a literature person, okay? He says to me, look.
This is Thabo Mbeki.
That's what Thabo Mbeki said.
Okay.
That he reads the Bible as literature. Okay. Because the text is so phenomenal. You know. Jabba, he interpreted this thing like, you know, when you look at it, Mojo, the Bible talks about Jesus coming back at the age of 30 or something. Where was he before then? But even when you take the movie from where he's now 30 something else and doing his ministries, you can see that the man, Ozama Lady, fisherman, lady prostitute, he's a rebel. You see what I'm saying? He's against everything the Hebrew laws and the establishment. Julius Malema of the time. If you really come to understand him as that, he's changing the rules. He's saying, but a lot of things, he's provocative. He's changing and influencing young people in a way that the senior order doesn't like. And this is how Jabba saw himself. You see, he said, I am Jesus-like. And because I'm Jesus-like, I'm not supposed to be liked. I'm not supposed to fit in. What I'm supposed to do is do my purpose and live. And I will die to save you all. You know, and when he starts saying things like that, we're like, hey, what about to be lady man? But in the process of time, we can see that where Jesus saved people and healed them, Jabba created superstars. Everybody who ever touched Jabba's pants went to blow up wherever they were. We are sitting here, me and you now. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And who can we say that about?
I'm so emotional right now.
So we said Koliano, you know, where we were sitting down and we're breaking this thing down. Or what is it actually that you are saying? Leano was a little like a rubble of a house. It was just the front wall in a little bit, a little first area, and you know how he was always like over, yo, Mojo, this means. Yeah, we ended up always hanging out there. We just go sit there because, you know, I didn't want him to be among people because he was in that of changing people's life. Only other people will not understand, you know. And so I would take him there so that we can be isolated, you know, because I just didn't know what would happen to him. But I could listen to him because I could follow his madness in that way. And, you know, there we worked on the concept of two witnesses. Because as I've mentioned before, the two witnesses comes from the book of Revelations. And they don't have a good ending, the two witnesses come with him. I don't want to be one of them, but it's fine. I had to follow his madness, and we did that thing, you know. Songs like, I think when we were there, we wrote Danger. We wrote a song called Horn Blows. If you listen to my verse here, Two Witnesses, it ends with, Soon retla utlwa ya bofelo lo phala. That was from Horn Blow. You know, I just put it more two witnesses. So these are Logo Bushing. We're working on these things. Danger. In another story, you know. But, you know, I think he was at his creative best at that moment, you know. Hence, when he got better at the end of the year and moved to Joburg in 2003 and he started to work on Omang, he really changed because he was like, we're going to kill Hip Hop Pantsola. He was so frustrated with the name Hip Hop Pantsola. And on his own, goes like, we're going to kill double Hip Hop Pantsola, we're going to bring back Jabba, Big Jabba, what. And when he came up with Umang, then there was this Monikawa double HP. Like, oh, look how this thing has come out, you know. It had nothing to do with me, that happened there. But the music, the thinking, the direction, the flow, everything had changed from Mafikeng album to Umang. And what was the big change was that time period I'm talking about. Because if there's anything else, I think I helped enhance his madness. I was the one person who made him feel sane in that madness of his, you know. And it was very hard for the family. Yanda was still young. Zanel was still even younger. Mam T was getting a little sick, and it was up and down. Every time we about like Jabba credit or Tuleditse Morafe, we relay Mama Teresa Tambo, credit Motswako. Literally. Because all the things that Jabba na pilaka zona go direla batho ne di dirwa ke Mam T. I know that for a fact. Some of the things I'm embarrassed, I can't even say them here, but I became family because Jabba insisted. I mean, at some time he would actually Mam T at my house we live in you need to come with me so you can come down together and so on. But until he got better, and we took it from there. So, you know, our relationship became very crisscrossed from this spiritual journey he always was embarking on, plus the professional and the pressures that come with all of us wanting to be rap superstars. So this is the really genesis of what we see today as Motswako. Yeah, so I don't know if I'm still in the same line with you in terms of what you're trying to
100%. 100%. Like the only thing that you're not in tune with, I'm heavily emotional.
Yeah, no, but yeah, maybe somebody will sit here next time and dispute my truth.
No, nobody can. I mean, I've been to Liano, you know, after the summer, 2006.
Yeah.
I went to Liano for the first time, and yes. I understand everything. So
okay.
Those conversations that we were having, Liano.
Yes.
After the loss.
Yes.
The plans for the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I 100% get it.
Yep. We can't explain the genius of the man. We really can't, you know. And I hope one day, I mean, in his world, when he sat there, it's like, you know, you are like disciples. Between you guys, I see Simon Peter, I see Mamang, I even see Judas among you, you know. But it will play itself out. And it should come to pass so the prophecy comes true. You know, that's what you'd always say. And all the time, you know, you always wonder, am I Simon Peter or am I Judas? And when he did that, the video, Jabba,
Yeah.
and he did the
The
like, screw this nigga, bro. So, you know, it was really, really part and parcel of his journey, you know, and he has really died to give us life because we are who we are because he was.
Okay.
So, like I say, maybe one day, a soul will turn into Paul and write the book of Jabba, you know, and there'll be a religion called Jabbaism, you know. Yeah, but that's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to make sure that this is known, you know, because I always have to think to myself, am I riding on Jabba's coattail to keep myself relevant? Or am I really being honest with myself that the experiences I had with Jabba and me insisting on keeping his legacy alive, it comes from a good place. I have to always balance it with me myself, you see, to say, if I was to stop talking about my brother at all, would it serve me better or worse? Or does it disturb other people who wish his name must never be mentioned again? So I have to always do it, but then come with a clear conscience. He gave me this mandate. You can go on TV, you can go everywhere, even on Facebook you'll put me there, Mulimi, president. It's not because I'm a good leader. He's still there, put Kiamu as prime minister, because you know there's leadership. And then you put Towdee as vice president because he knows Towdee's always been for the collective. But he put me as president only because he knew I understand his mission.
Kupa tissue, guys. Yo. Hey, for tag. I was not ready. I was not ready, Mojo. You're fucking with me right now.
No, man. You know,
you know what I realized? I or we, maybe when I don't think I've mourned Jabba's passing. Obviously, you know what was going on at the time, you know? And we barely have these conversations. And today we are having them on camera. It's a lot.
I understand.
It's a lot.
I understand. It's a lot for me because I must internalize and re-understand it every day myself because it redefines my purpose, my mission.
Sure.
The reason why I must keep doing it, you know, I can't divorce myself from this mission, you of all people will know. It's not like we were bum buddies with Jabba all our lives. Most of the times we didn't even get along. He was a very difficult person to get along with, you know, but very genuine in a sense. Never really sneaking around and doing the funny things the way we see, we work today, and those of us who have made something out of this, you know, it's sad, but also when others look and say, hey, you see, when you move like that guy, look where he ended up. Don't move like that guy. You know? But I've just explained to you why that man was moving the way he was moving. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he was moving like that because he had a purpose. He had a purpose.
And he knew it.
Yes.
I mean, YBA Wednesdays, the Lekoko concept as a collective,
Yep.
not the record label, a collective.
Yep.
The shows, the tours,
Yep.
like whatever else he was doing, Ari.
Roots, everything, was everything, Yeah. And
Right.
he put himself in that position where he brought competition to himself and was still also being able to compete while balancing competition. That's very difficult. Do you think Maphorisa competes with these artists?
Nah.
Or the artists that work with him? Or Kabza the Small and so on? Or even Oskido? There's always been a clear distinction. That's Oskido, that's Bongo Muffin. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah, that's Arthur and that's Abashanti or New School or whatever. That's Mdu and that's my Shamplan. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's record label head. But Jabba was one of us, was a soldier. Yeah, and we recognized each other as equals among men.
And you guys were nominated on the same category.
Do you see what I'm saying? On the same category for the same award.
That's crazy.
You see what I'm saying? So it was very difficult because we didn't take instructions from Jabba. He was never our boss. He was our leader. That's it.
Okay. Track YBA.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
I'm driving. I think in Kifeta Mabana, Gafita Mega City. Hageri ki Shabakamo lefty, ki Akamo right, ki Bona Agri Center. Okay, I didn't of course. Then ik Shakamo right, ki Bona Harona. Then if you go for last the Chusaka Zeni in the Silimo Harona. If you get in if you try like a Raimo Tonyaka, Chama Parliament Yarona, if you get and then first forward, the next thing it was a track. At that time, I wish that time was here. I mean, creativity was sick. I mean, I could go to the shop and come back with a song. Years later, when I heard of Little Wayne doing one takes and like, oh, this thing was normal, almost. I didn't enhance this thing in myself.
Yeah.
But it came out just like that. Negihita ko Harona, Harona, yeah, Tomo Parliament Yarona. Sani computer talona go Harona, yeah, and then it so happens with Hani get late Jabba get a record walk on by. And then he was supposed to take me home. But name I go sticky, just wax. Was my first time with just wax. And then he trapped me. And then Balakala BT, like, I have this song, but it's because Jabba had done YBA Tour first. Never something because I used to have tracks like that all the time. Where we used to diss people but not release them. And you must remember 2005 was still the presidency of Thabo Mbeki. There was still order in this country. You couldn't just say things randomly. Like it is now. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It was not like that back then. So never in my life would I have released a song like that, saying the things I was saying in that song. But it's nice to record it. And then I went home, Kawela plasing, weeks passed. After a few weeks, Demon one belly like, hey, my man, couldn't get the or did it and they didn't track him fat. Demon. And the name of the album all along was History.
Which album?
Never YBA to Northwest.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, no, what's the name of the song? It's like, no, the name of the song is YBA. YBA Victim. YBA. You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Oh, Mojo. You are spitting and I'm finding out right now. Yeah, you're cooking, man.
So, I like it. Album is YBA to the face. So like, hey, man.
You got fuck off on the streets.
Yeah, but it was all in the spirit of what we were building together. So I've never had a problem. I'm so grateful.
Somehow
that album made me who I am.
Sure. So Go FM.
Yeah.
YBA by playlist.
Yes.
High rotation.
Yes.
We all refer it as Mojo.
Yeah.
He's Ramon.
Yeah.
And to a point where you received a call from from Lee.
Yeah.
Okay, obviously I can facilitate
Yes,
you must understand to find money. That's crazy.
You're one of 10 million.
Now I'm pitching go Mege.
Yeah.
Yo, this guy, and then I think Kabomo was the editor.
Yeah.
Kabomo umpatla a picture for the magazine. That's when I realized, wait, I don't know how this man looks like.
Wasn't it Bosimo Unuko?
No, why Meg? Not Hype Meg.
Yes. Oh yeah, because I mean the first articles we did was
was Hype Meg.
Yeah.
Okay, Hype Meg.
Yeah, it was Hype Meg.
Yes, it was Hype Meg.
Album came later.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Then but a picture wa Romela.
Yeah.
Mojo na lead dreads.
Yes. Like who's
I'm like, this is I thought it would look like the dreads.
And bongo dreads.
Yeah. Crazy time.
I remember that.
So obviously, this song for me put you on, and at the same time, I don't know if you already talk about how you had to go there on air and apologize. Or speak about, or no, you didn't mean any harm to anyone. No.
No, I mean the song, it is what it is. It's always been there, and all I know is the more why Meg was pushing it, the more SABC turned against not only me but Motswako. You see, because then that means Motswako had a political connotation to it because Ngomzen was still alive then. You know what I mean? You know, but talking about Pasopa, you know, but at that time, we were not so close anymore. It was before 2015, 2016. It was around about the time, Fees Must Fall. You know, and then I was very critical of him, you know, like, how can he go out and say a song? No. What kind of madness is this? You can't be going around there making like useless demands and all. Like, where is he going with this music? But only later I realized, like, dude, actually this nigga is the only one who stood up for the students when it really mattered. Only one. Today, our children will benefit from NAFSAS because he stood on the front lines. If we can go to all the footages and go back to 2015-16 for the Feast Must Fall, you're only going to find Jabba on the front line. Wow.
Yeah, I know.
That's Christ-like, not Christian.
And he was banned for it.
He was there. He was there.
All right. So
yeah, we learned.
Yeah, there's a track, the only feature on YBA, gonna be young. We just spoke about it, Measurement.
What?
Pinayamo YBA that you are featured on.
Walk on by.
Walk on by.
Yeah.
What's a walk on by? The Josie feature then.
No, I mean, Jabba on triple walk on by because I didn't want to come back. I thought that was, I mean, at the time that he, because we were 23, 22, 23, and I had just started farming with my dad, and things were happening. I got support, and you know. So he caught me at a time where I had done this project, the Sunflower, with FMB and Green SA, and some things didn't go right. A lot of frustrations. So Angra actually kill week. So he drove all the way to Plasing, and then so he had done this about maybe 2 times before. So he came for the 3rd time. So Nkutlis album is building it. Yeah, but I was not interested. We just come and he go. So this 3rd time he came and then he put in that beat Mubra. I started rapping there. What? No, I I'm gonna pay you on top of that.
How can you say no to that?
Like, you know, I can stress as a project there. Let's do it, man.
Jesus like. Gabra says that track right now if you didn't pull that move.
He had to push, you know, he had to push. He really had to push, you know. I mean, even then, my voice was not really, I mean, I had never been the coolest person, you know. Jabba is the only one who always used to say, I got Lebona little, but Mojo, it's on another level, and nobody understood what he was talking about. I was like, this guy, you can't even hear what he's saying, But I think he always saw something that I never saw in myself. I think till today, yeah.
And then how did the process of Amanzi start after that?
Yeah, I mean, after YBA came out, YBA, 2005 was a big year for Motswako, Mafuko Ame, Marua Pula. It was also a year, I think, Pro had dropped Heads and Tails. Proverb had dropped the Book of Proverbs. Absolutely amazing albums. I think Hidden Force had also released on that year. So it was a very good year for South African hip hop. Jabba then said, emoji is not enough. People need to hear your voice. Like, but I get the feature, brah. I came through for you. Now what? Like, no, man, you need to do more. Like, ish. So it's like, no, okay. Let's have a one album deal. Okay, but there's nothing like that in the industry. There's no one album deal in it. It's like, no, just between me and you. Just do this one album, do it proper, do it fine, and then you can go back to your family and stuff. Are you sure? Like, no, okay, that's cool. So we did it. When I was about to sign my deal with EMI, one dealer put the deal on the table. Says, yes, the deal. The deal was two albums with the option of a third. I told them, now I have one deal album with Lemonka Entertainment. That's the deal I have with Jabba. Because I'm telling you, by the time I signed that deal, I had not been speaking to him for about 6 months. I had left Lemonka Entertainment. I didn't even know that I'm getting a deal. I thought maybe they're giving me a deal or they want to start talking. When I got there, I found a contract already, Lemonka Entertainment, on the table. I was like, here's the contract, bro. So like, no, and I have a wonder, I can't sign this thing. It's a thick book like this. So like, how wanna deal in this building? So it's up to you. If you are after that deal, you are not gonna find it here. And then therefore there's no album. But you can just sign this 2-year deal and we can see as we go. Maybe you will change your mind along the way. So what I'm saying now is an advice to all the other artists. Please don't do what we were doing back in the day where we were signing contracts without lawyers. Because you had a fear that if you bring your lawyer, it will be like we did a clever, and then they are going to really put your album at the bottom of that box.
Sure.
So you didn't want to be too smart, about things. So like I said, right there in that moment, without even reading the contract, I went to the back page, signed the contract. I'm like, if I sign this thing, my album is coming out in 2 weeks. Okay. In 3 weeks, by the time the album was out. That's it. I was 26 by the time. You must know that at that time, then my mates, graduated, and you're still hustling, grinding for superstardom. At some point, it's not worth it. But at some point, you become so desperate, you'll do anything. You'll sell out your friends, you sell out your principles, you do anything for this thing because it's do or die. Yeah. If you don't do, you die. And many Batengo Kasida, they never made it. Talking about my hood. Babanzi. They were brilliant. They were amazing. They never got a chance. A deal never came.
This is crazy. You went so personal on the album. Amanzi.
Yeah.
There's on one of the songs, Already Arigisa Ntlo.
Yeah.
And you say it with a texture very, very sad.
Yeah.
Is it a real story or you were just rhyming?
Look, when I was conceptualizing Amanzi, like I say, at that time I was so blessed. My creativity was amazing. I think at that time I could have become a very great writer if I had chosen to be. I'm talking in terms of writing, whether poetry or narratives, short stories or novels. If I had chosen that path, I would have done very well. So when I was conceptualizing this album, I had to think. I'm coming in the back of Maruapula, Mafuko Ame, YBA to Northwest, all summer nominated albums. It's a hard task because already at that time there was already this thing. Okay, there's Jabba, then there was Stooks, then there's Morafe. Now why do we need another one, happy? Oh, you know. You know. So what was really so different about me? So that it has had to start at the concept, you know. So like I said, the initial concept was the blue collar because it was supposed to just reflect the struggles of classism, because that's what is prevalent in South Africa. That's why today it's easy for people to say South Africa is the most unequal society in the world. This is what I wanted to talk about then, because it's always been a reality that there's a new developing middle class, but poverty is still very real. And in the passage of time, it has now become very obvious for everyone. But then it was not a thing. We were in a new democracy, 10 years. The economy was looking good. We were moving as a country. But, there was an idea. I mean, I went as far as getting a job called country bait. To live with my blue collar. Like being on my farm was not enough. I had to go there and get a job and earn 700 rand a month.
Whoa.
Lifting eggs, feeding, cleaning cages, in the morning, 8 at night. That's how tired you are. Because you know those trays, you lay some 140 eggs. So you collect them, you fumigate whatever. It was a lot. Yeah, so when now I had to change the concept, because I think something personal happened, at around about that time. And then, the blue collar thing had to fall away. I had to think again. But then I realized, actually, what can differentiate my album from these great albums that are already there is the Tupac touch. Because Tupac has never been the greatest rhymer of all times. But God damn it, he could make you cry.
You got to your soul.
Quick. So I needed to find Tupac. And when I finally found Footprints, I had found my Tupac moment. It was nothing personal. It was just, but if I can make people feel the way Tupac made me feel when I heard Life Goes On, I would have made it. I think in that moment I did. And when I wrote that song, I was on holiday. I was chilling on the Val. Life was best. Jabba had bought me an iPod. They were brand new as a Christmas present. I was like, dude, this is for you to write the album. I'll load music in there for you to do this thing. I was the only nigga with the iPod in the hood. Life was good. He had a big one. He bought me a small one. I was chilling. And that very good moment, I came up with that song, Footprints.
What?
So, but it was about that. It was about the Tupac. Because when I first heard All Eyes on Me, after I heard all those 20 tracks, I sagged my pants, put on a bandana, and went to the streets.
He got to you.
And I said, if I could make people feel this way.
You did, man. Yeah. I felt that way, and you must remember, during the process of the recording of that album,
Yes. From the very
yeah.
Very plastic merchandise. So the struggle was real, Yeah. But I came from a very good home. So I won't claim like
you're a creative genius, Mojo. That I have to give you.
We haven't done our creativity much justice, I think responding like we read out. Read the frivolous things.
One atom in a trolley. Maka. What's that say, monkey? Yes, you play with our heads, man. Because think about it. You make this thing so big.
Yeah.
Mara, you don't need a trolley to put one item.
Yeah, it's a metaphor, bro.
Yeah, it's like monkey fellow.
Yeah, it's a metaphor. You think about your life, you know, it's such a big thing and, you know, so much emptiness.
Mojo,
So much emptiness, you know. You're pushing a whole trolley, but you have only one item.
I'm not even a fan. I don't know what to call how I feel about your skill. This is not even talent. This is part of your being. Like, you breathe what you do.
Yeah, but it's not nice being me, Lemonka. You know, it's you know, coming here, you know, I had to psych my mind. Every time I don't want to take all interviews, but I'll take an interview like this because I'll take it as a safe space between us as brothers. You know? And so every time you come out, yeah, we can push a foot around a lot of issues, but let's make it a teachable moment and a historical moment so that in the future we can actually reference and say, indeed, you did predict that Israel will fall. Anyway.
So something anyway.
I don't mean praise singers. Always been up for my own thing. So yeah, I'm always been embraced by political formations. Even at the height of Fuck Off. I was approached by the Youth League, Kumahike, to be part and parcel of what they were doing. You know what I mean? And fortunately for me, the ANC was not a far-fetched concept for me because my extended family has been very deep in the political struggle of South Africa. So in terms of understanding the history, the roles and who was and what, it was not a foreign thing to me myself, you know.
Your uncle was in exile?
My uncle spent half his life in exile, so he was a huge influence and a big hero to us, and him being a professor of literature played a big role in that, especially with me because he afforded me a lot of his time, which some things he used to call marathon lectures, because I would probe him and he would reciprocate, you know, and therefore I earned more than a degree just by being around my uncle all those years when he was around. So I appreciate that. A lot of these ideas that I developed over time in terms of concepts, in terms of what my music, you know, I mean, I remember the first time I played him Morafe, he's like, yeah, like, it's nothing like we were saying something wrong. There has to be something meaningful also. It's not only how that you have contributed to our culture. You have said nothing in Setswana. It's still nothing. It doesn't mean anything because you will Setswana. You also have to think about the message that you are bringing. It must stay with people or it must mean nothing. Because if it means nothing, people will forget or catch a new wave tomorrow. But if it means something, then 20 years later, someone will say to me, you know, I failed to go school on Lemonka. Failed so bad. And the following year, all I was playing is Footprints. And today, I'm an engineer. Now that's something. You know, when I walk in the streets, people say, my kid got from Matlali, my kid got Manzi. I name my children after my own album. That means something. Because you've touched someone's life. When people pull their shoes and show you a tattoo, Amanzi, and that means something. You have touched the life. And these are the teachings. So when the Youth League approached me, it was not a far-fetched thing, but it was really weird. But through Maheu and Kabelo Mataboge, you know, Kabelo Mataboge ki albino, ki leswafi, you know, but he was chairperson of the youth with the Youth Commission. It was called the Youth Commission before it was NYDA. And now there was this thing, ya manong re kolobe ya leswafi ke tla fa go la ka thipa, and then and it was just, but
It got me into a bit of trouble, by the way.
I mean-
Bo Peter ba ne ba tla mo go no re mona no o tla gago.
but because of their political maturity of the time and the space they were in, they embraced me like, wena mona wa re ke le kolobe irang what direla ga, and I became comfortable about them. I became part and parcel of their mission and helping what they do, and I was taken on from there on. I kept on being even at some point I had membership when I was in Bloemfontein or the ANC. I kept supporting their programs. It was never an issue of having to benefit. It's about believing something, believing in the greater service of humanity. And over time, I'm now in my 40s. I really have to contribute. I feel I've done it all, and now is the time of we must contribute, because we see the amount of poverty, we see the struggle, and we have a little resources, but there are too many people who have nothing at all. Can I teach them a skill of farming that can sustain their lives? If I can contribute in that way, I must do it. Can I teach them how to rap? Will it change their lives? I don't believe so. I won't do it. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So we are defined. So over time, people will see like, hey, man, yeah, no, what's a communist party? I've always been a communist. This is why I was in the Workers' Struggle album in 2002 already. You see. By the age of 21, I had written the Revolutionary Life by Che Guevara, which is so thick. Twice. It's about 800 pages. And if you don't read a book like that and live with a mission, I don't know what else you need. So it's not about wanting power. It's about knowing that now it's time to define ourselves as a generation. So this man, the other day I met a kid go Agri Center. This young kid outside there. I go, hey, Uluburu, mona oselafuru, otlogo tata jaka le kapetlwana la kudu. O ke motsoko lista o batla mo ish malating yana amon. It's like, no man, my name is Buru. I hold a master's in agriculture and a master's in finance, and I'm inspired by you, my brother. You see? He's one of many. Some of them are on farms right now. Some of them are in government who say, I started with a motsoko lista, and then I made an easy decision to follow a career in agriculture, because you influenced me. And one of them is your own brother, you see. So isn't that a life mission? You see. So more than influence and saying Mama Wirang, now we really have to say that farm we built it, that farm, that community farm we built it, that clinic garden really, that hawk we did it, and it changed so many lives. And then we must say, oh, you see that person? Because off. That was Jabba's mission. When you look back and say, look at the people that Jabba's touched, including both Georgians. Say, look at us.
Okay,
Look at us. You know what I mean?
Do you think you don't like helping? You won't help a person to rhyme because the value chain in music is tricky. You can't. No, none of us own distribution. None of us own. You don't own anything. Go musicking. But go farming. You can own land. You can go sell, plant and go sell.
Yeah, I think also this is the stupidity of my genius, because I've never paid attention to what music was doing. Till today, I don't understand publishing. I don't understand all those things. Mine was just to create a brand for myself, Komulimi, that be able to push agriculture. Okay, and today when I'm scrambling, maybe can I publishing guy, maybe can go kapaso. Maybe sharp. My mission was never to be like the music know-how, and like till today I can't press a computer and do anything to save my life.
Which is frustrating to your fans, though. Because I mean, I know that you have the master Amanzi right now.
I've had it for many years. All my masters, I own them. Okay, that's one thing I made for sure.
Okay.
Okay, but they are mine. The thing is not problem. They don't bother me. So, so yeah, a lot of young people who capture my attention.
So-
Eh, Brian, ke a lema, ke sentse ke re ke a sheba. No, mara ke a rap. Oh, Wala go trigger wena. So, yeah, but I think my mission really is to build the agrarian revolution. You know, I
Sure.
think that was at the core of the Cuban Revolution that has inspired my life. You know, Che Guevara and Fidel Castro. You know, when they took over government, they started planting sugar plantains, get rid of the bush, bajala, sugarcane, until Cuba became one of the highest sugar producing countries in the world, despite the sanctions are USA and so on. Boche, Fidel, they spend their days in the sugarcane plantation, in the sugarcane factories. Barana government bosigo. Ha ba chase maitsiwa ba go tlhapa, ba go administrator throughout the whole night. In the morning they're up, they're on the streets. That's why in Cuba they are poor but they're proud. They have an identity. Theirs was built on patriotism, love for self. That's a real revolution.
Yeah, so I want to touch on the Motswako Republic
Yes, sir.
and the Suits
Yes, sir.
project. So right now,
Black tie suit. Yeah,
yeah,
black tie tour, yeah.
The Black Tie Tour.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Okay, I'll start with the Black Tie Tour. Black Tie Tour is an idea we came up with, Dukes, I think maybe just prior to COVID. Yeah, and then we tried it, Lemonka, we battled the venue. I don't know what happened, but then COVID came and then it kind of went away. We just always had the idea. It just resurfaced this year when we really was now talking about 20 years of Mafuko Army, you know, and also the other two albums as well. You know, like what are we going to do in celebration of this album, you know? And Dukes being my brother is like, I don't feel like making a party about, you know, and like, but let's do this black tie thing so that we can be able to bring back all the people who were there when we started off. Create all of them, kibo mama, kibo papa, they can't go back 2000. Let's create an environment for them to come out and celebrate this little moment with us. You know, that would mean a lot to them. And this is how we crafted this whole black tie tour thing. So, you know, we've just had to find a way to bring it to fruition, and I'm happy that it is happening, because I think for the first time we are able now to position our brand where it really belongs, you know, with the corporates, because we are part of that culture that we've been building, you know. A lot of those people that we call corporates are students of Motswako, are disciples of Jabba, you see. And how somehow it has to come to a point where it's seamless, you know. I think the Jay-Z's and the Puffies coming to an age of billionaire status and so on, it didn't happen by chance. It meant the early hip-hop guys who had come from the 80s and 90s had actually now risen to a point where they were able to bring this culture into the main. And this is where we are. We need to lead in this process, and just being beyond entertainment. We represent a culture. And Setswana, you always get the push from those who, you know, if you try to say, yeah, but it's, you know, how can you say such brilliant words over European instruments? It's like, you see what I'm saying? But we have to keep pushing. You have to keep pushing, because Banavarna have a Buiswana, because Bakolaka TV, there's very little Setswana content. I think we are trying to get all native languages. You know, unlike the SABCs, those content was there. Now it's not there anymore. Even in how can the story Setswana TV, half the time, many other languages. Rather than that, children are always on the internet. In the internet, definitely there's nothing at all. How do we expect our children to embrace our culture? Who's supposed to make the papayas as Setswana, Lemonka? Who's supposed to make the dramas as Setswana? Who's supposed to make the series as Setswana? who's supposed to tell the documentary tsa ka Setswana? Whose responsibility is it?
This is a real question.
Yeah, that's a real question.
Yeah.
Especially the Popeye. Especially the Popeye.
Maybe because clearly, I mean, me personally, I moved on to television, film and television, and I get a lot of pushback sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. It's our responsibility. Our children have no Setswana content in the mediums that they exploit. At all. So when you see that platform put Shaka Ilembe there, it's like, okay, what are we doing? What is our story? What is our angle? You know, everybody's want entertainment, but the vacuum, who's going to close it? So, naki bereka temothuo go tswa mo go nyena because balemi ba nkitse.
I knew I hypothetical potsa gago.
Balemi ba nkitse bro.
Yo, Mojo, always dope hanging out with you.
All the best.
Yeah, all the time. Private, go plasing, go ramatlaba, anywhere, go chula and anything. It's always dope, Maji. It's always amazing. And
no, but it's a Motswako Republic.
oh yes, Motswako Republic.
Yeah. Now I might go. Yeah, but we are starting off in Botswana. I think Motswako Republic. You know Motswako Republic. Okay, I guess Yes. The tour. I'm excited that Let Live Entertainment has been able to put this thing together. The lengths that they have gone is beyond. You know, it's taking it back to ABA Wednesdays. You know, and that's commendable. Putting on this tour. So yeah, we're starting Botswana, and then we're going to go to Lichtenberg. Then we're supposed to do Soweto, and then I think Pretoria within the course of this year. So I'm excited about that. I want to see how they want to roll it out. I think we are in the process of rebranding and repositioning Motswako in the music industry. I think since the digital shift, we have not found our ground since. We don't have aggregators sharp. We don't have people who are putting us number one on the DSPs. You know, when you approach a DSP and they tell you you need 50,000 followers on Instagram for them to take your music, you just don't understand now. You know, like 50,000 out there, people are looking for my music. You are talking about 50,000 followers of what? Following, like, I don't get it. But we don't get it. But we have to be beyond that frustration to find the solutions, especially the tech solutions to the challenges we are having, so we can rebrand Motswako and position it to survive for the future. I think Motswako in the future, it should not be about Setswana purism or who could rhyme better ka Setswana. It should be about part and parcel of this culture of, I think what Levi explained it as, and I found it, Levi Moahi. He said, you know, Motswako is the one genre that I have learned across the world that is family orientated. It's a family business. Motswako is Kaizer Chiefs, bro. Yeah, you can't master a ball, bro. I was
Actually, Chai.
I'm obvious. I do.
That's how Chai outward. But we put a wiki man come Motswako.
Life goes on. So, yeah, but it's not deliberate.
Okay.
It's just the dynamics of how this thing came up.
Sharp.
And it failed to grow beyond this because there are a lot of people who played a role in Motswako. Starting Kabo Vosileo, Wandile, Botaso, Lance there. I would say the whole day here of people, you know, including Bo, Refilo Ramachasa. They played a big role. All the people that have contributed to this thing. Many of them were never even Northwest people. They've built this thing, you know, from a film point, from a radio point, from a production point, Bostiki, you know, even who's Sticky's boss, Coach's Works? Robin played a big role in building Motswako. You know, he was so in favor of us. he canceled the studio time. It's about
Hey.
people were angry all the time. You know what I mean? So, all those people, they contributed into building this thing, what it essentially is, So all the time, it's frustrated. The young people are not taking on the baton. The young guys are not taking on the baton. Nobody's taking on Jabba's role. First of all, nobody can ever be Jabba again. Forget it. Okay? That we must accept. That not even Casper, with all his money that he talks about, can be Jabba. This money can never make him that. He doesn't have that touch. But he Jabba and he blew up. Well, it doesn't matter how he puts it. He's a beneficiary. So, as beneficiary, we are saying, whose responsibility is it to take this thing to the future? I can't answer that question. But we, like I said earlier, then it's not Simon Peter who wrote the books and the acts and the letters to the Gospels. It was Saul who became Paul, that came generations later. So all we need to do is keep doing what we do now. People will come in the future and they'll write PhDs on Motswako and all that, and we'll see. We'll know if we had contributed positively or not.
Dope. Before we close, 10-1.
Yes.
I didn't know that Tobetsa was Presley Chweneyagae at the time. I realized when we were doing the toss, some Motswako tape.
Yes.
When he used to follow you around everywhere where we went. How did you guys meet, and was this your genius law on the story that you wrote?
Man, thank you for raising this. It's a good way to close off this. Rest in peace, Presley. I'm so sad. I'm so sad that he left, because as an actor, unlike us as musician, as an actor, his career was only starting. I've always seen Tobetsa as the future Will Smith or Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, those guys who become even so god as they age, you know what I mean? And I think he was in the right path heading there. So that's what makes me very sad about his passing. Tobetsa, the movie Towdee won the award in 2006. 2007, I think about January, Pilato had come fetch me from your house and go put me in his house. So, hey, man, he just came pick me up. Big up to Pilato, scientist, did so much. His book is also there in those chapters. So Bob Presley, I don't know Rukupanikai, and then they got my number. One day they just dropped Koha Pilato Komal Bara Tamale Le Godene Le Rantebing. Rantebing was on Generations at the time.
Yes.
Mashaba.
Yes.
And that time really people watched TV.
Yes.
We did know who Thomas Shaba is, They just rocked up at the house, get a battle on check out, and next thing I was 4 months, Kopituri Gidulale Presley.
No ways.
Yeah, he's like, hey, man, why don't you from Vandaag? And you must know this is pre-Amanzi.
Yes.
I didn't have an album.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was still working on an album. But that is the time that we had a fallout with Jabba.
Yeah.
And I was not part of Legogo Entertainment. So I didn't have a record deal. Nothing was happening for me. They took me. About Presley, Kopitori. I've been thinking much about that time. The other day, on Taremona, I hope I get Pitori, Presley overseas, and also flat. I don't remember anything. Because they're no Joala. They're no Joala. In that 4 months that I lived with Tobetsa, I don't ever remember him going to audition or taking me to theater or discussing acting or doing anything about work. Okay? But he had appointed himself my street manager. So because of Towdee, there was a lot of attention, people like but because when he's there, he's a vibe. So so he just comes chilling the VIP and everybody's happy. Because Presley's never had a problem with people. Like fame has never made him Not that he liked it, but he like, you know, he was so easy with people. So they like doing that. So he started doing a thing like, oh, if you want me to come hang in your VIP, book Mojo.
Ah.
Yeah, so then you would go there and then I'd print that, I had only 3 songs. I think I had Footprints, Pimpa, and something at the time.
Yes.
Yeah, and I would only do those 3 songs and I would get about a 5K. It was so much back then,
Sure.
And then Adela Rantibeng would go on stage and still perform. And, they were so famous at that time, it had nothing to do with clout. They just loved acting and art, and they were so into Motswako, and they would just do all the song, and they were 5K, and remove. So we became brothers in that time. Because then the student entrepreneur happened, and then I got arrested, and then when I came out of jail, I was like, I need to focus. I really need to focus. And so I went back to Pilato. And then in the next 2 months, I got a deal. The album came out, And when I look back, I realized, I think Presley Rantibeng, even at Gordon, because he was there with us the whole time, but especially Presley Rantibeng, they prepared me for public life in a way that Jabba didn't. Because Jabba was so seclusive. He enjoyed
his peace.
You see what I'm saying?
Quite
as much
nice.
as when he was in people, he was.
Like I've never met anybody who remembers everybody's name.
Yeah.
Right on on his sleeves.
Yeah, and still had time to stop here. You will never finish because he's gonna stop 50 times, give everybody 20 minutes. But in reality, he really didn't. He was so. What is the term? But exclusive in a way, Jabba. He enjoyed his space and peace of time, That's where you would get the real him in his own corner. Yeah, but Presley, and he was a public person. He had a public persona every day. He was ready. I mean, Huko Sunny Society, and it doesn't matter what guy, but we must just hit the pavement, somewhere. With that fella somewhere, we'd end up going Hatfield, but what about Chale, so hey, I'm gonna miss that brother, Every time he just killed me randomly. Selala Sikoka. Sifila Samazayon. Kwanakatanta. Ow. You know what? And you just killed me. So I'm so heartbroken that Presley passed on. But thank you for the memories. Thank you for the brotherhood. I know you touched a lot of life, Presley. You should have done a lot more. And but you played your part. I always say the same thing about Jabulani, that at the age of 38 when he passed, he had 10 studio albums. He had 4 remix albums. He had produced so many people. He had so many people die, or not even coming close to that. You know what I mean? At my age, I only have 3 studio albums, 1 EP, La 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 Nyana Mole, He had traveled the world. He had done things, and he had done Strictly Come Dance. He had his own show in 2009 before we even think. You know what I mean? I would say if Jabba wanted to be the first one driving Ferraris in South Africa, he could have easily been. Invested his money in building the band, in building others, in building that. He even at the time of his passing, he had a dream to build a school, some music and art, and you know what I mean. I only hope Department of Arts and Culture especially is similar to really come to party in assisting artists to grow the culture. You know what I mean? Yeah, but but traumatized the blue lampy gating. You know what I mean? Like they mustn't do that. They must rather call us and find a way of helping Lemonka take this TV thing to the future. They should be the ones saying, Lemonka, develop a because only potential you've shown us that you're a TV man. You know what you're doing. Bring your team, let's work. That's why when I'm doing the Black Tie tour, I had to go back home and get my Mouthtown band.
Oh, by the way.
You know what I mean?
By the way, Mojo.
Big Bucks Project.
Your band.
Big up to Matuetwe as well. I met Big Bucks through Matuetwe. Yeah, the work he has put in and in developing a lot of artists who have gone a long way. even till today. But especially the band, they are all beneficiaries of generosity. You know, Tulamo, he's Christ-like. You know, he just doesn't enjoy the same fame as Jabulani. And these are peers, these are brothers. They grew up together, actually, those two. You know, Kulamu grew up in Kalwan. Well, later on, has a woman Kalwan, while Jabba do Unit 5 Kamo, and the blood relatives somewhere there. So they share that same quality, you know, and I suppose that's what has really brought me close to the both of them. So big up to them. I've always wanted to say, as we move, as we rise, we must lift. As we rise, we must lift the whole time. So it's part and parcel of that. Yeah, thank you, Lemonka. So big up to you also, Lemonka. You know, from where we started off all those years ago, you've been a soldier. You've never stopped. You know, and I commend you for your energy. You've had to deal with all these personalities since the work was on it today. All this craziness. I understand why you are emotional, but you have soldiered. You have built on top of that. We see you. You are seen, and I can only wish you the best. You know what? I pay for Maggie trains.
Yeah, no. I relaxed mojo. Yeah, no. Episode 2 tlhagiswa ke tatso ke lebentlele la dijo ga o tswa ka electric ke ya mafikeng mo khone mo le next to BP ba rekisa tshotlo mogodu ditlhakwana nako engwe o tla batla kota o tla thola go bone and tatso.
Yo, matlhale a modimo a mantsi. Check. I lost too many of my people in the struggle. Said to kill piri every weekend in the jacket with a shovel. Never thought the revelation would be trouble. Blue collar dreams, mad hustle in the streets, cash double. Must have been a Thursday, got see fi fancy. Say tibu si khufi for walk capitulati. Makanyana allegation ala leti. Sparks got popped by a fool. Now my demon weekend. Sad youth day, ritsukhile remo fitla. Many stories told, but the truth ibu fitla. Flight arikidi ripti bati. Bangwe bare drugs, bangwe bare text. Screaming me fast. Rapopi was a father and the son in the community. Always with a helping hand of foe and friend. I learned a whole lot from your humility. I pray in the hood, one big as it city. I planned you still the man.
For the best, but prepare for the worst. Life is a blessing, but prepare for the curse.
Yesterday's a treasure you can never get back, but today's an opportunity, get back on track. Make hay while the sun shines.
Life is too short, live every day
with a smile. I don't have much, but if I did, just to have you back. Oh,
damn, I would give it everything that's mine. I miss you.
Ke tsogile ko kwalela lekwalo tlhoka jang go gopola jana o le ko ke le kwano ruri modimo mogolo ao bakwe. You and I on, it's the 17th of Patwe, but it was never meant to be kibati. You niggas miss papi. Another car claims another homie of mine. Barry Hasidi Koloi about the alcoholism. Claiming this life, it was a Rema Hube school teachers in the simplex. Truck kid, the Texas kids or death in this context. Sumataro ya baruta banaba inela. National disaster dikele di day kwela. Litie mokotata bananyana badi peto. Lina libiki serumo no le bone peto. Bombe baba no naki bahali. Kalokanya pio eno meo twara tipaka bohali. Peace be to people living life with AIDS. Probably take a miracle to make this enemy fade. The Bible, the provider of faith. Abstain from the demon of sex and add a few to your days. I say, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Life is a blessing, but prepare for the curse. Yesterday's a treasure you can never get back, but today's an opportunity, get back on track. Make hay while the sun shines. Life is too short, live every day with a smile. I don't have much, but if I did, just to have you back, man, I would
Give it everything
come
that's
on.
mine. Say hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Life is a blessing, but prepare for the curse. Yesterday's a treasure you can never get back, but today's an opportunity to get back on track. Make hay while the sun shine. Life is too short, live every day with a smile. I don't have much, but if I did, just to have you back, man, I will give it everything that's mine. I miss you. R.I.P. Jabba, man. R.I.P. Presley, Chweneyagae. Caprizi, Toveta, Wally, easy. We're always gonna miss you guys. You guys are champions. You're my heroes. What more can I say? Peace.